GrokTALK.
Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Kusters still supports it. Call Ann Kuster. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another edition of GrokTALK, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GrokTALK.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you can only get from GrokTALK.com.
GrokTALK.
We'd like to welcome Ann Kuster to the program today. If you're looking on the live stream, there she is.
She's been on a diet.
She's been on a diet. She's lost so much weight, we can't even see her.
She hasn't been seen for a while.
No, that's true. She's missing in action.
You put up a post about that.
I did. A couple, actually, recently. But anyway, Kevin Kervick will be joining us later today, SNHU professor, general libertarian, conservatarian guy. Susan-Olsen's here. She rolled out of bed and strolled in to spend some time with us. We've got her visiting. And later on in the show, Brian Demjanovich, who is Jen Horn's pool guy. And he'll be coming in to talk to us about some interesting things that you might want to hear. Anyway, before that, though, there's plenty to talk about. Skip Murphy, of course, is here. Mike is expected, but maybe he got stuck on his way out of Scotland. I don't know. He could be... maybe he had some haggis.
Oh, wait.
He's not feeling well.
Wait. Guess what?
What?
We've got Annie.
Oh. I can't hear it through the feed, though. Hopefully it's on the stream, all right? Yeah, okay. So there you go, live streamers. That will not be on the podcast, so you'll be going, why is it quiet? We were listening to something in the studio that was being streamed, okay? Just, you should listen to the live stream and then the podcast. You miss everything. You don't miss anything. Anyway, hopefully you won't miss anything. Plenty of things always going on around here. Reminder, of course, that you should go to GraniteGrok.com and check out all this fun stuff, because that's where you're going to see it. And, of course, cnht.org. Very nice of them to allow us to use the space. And don't forget to get the app. Yes, iHeart, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes. And then you can visit us at YouTube, of course, as always, and Ustream if you're watching the live stream. But you can see past episodes of our program
And
on
Book
Ustream
TV
as well.
on some really old stuff, too.
Yeah, so if you want to go see the lost episodes, go to Book TV. Anyway, so we had a pre-show. If you didn't see the pre-show, you lost out, but Skip will post it later, so you can be able to check it out.
Yep.
And anyway.
Which reminds me, I could turn the other camera on.
Oh, okay. You
That's
go do
fine.
that. Thank you.
I will do that.
Talking
Yay.
about Ann Kuster running away from her extreme agenda.
Yes.
One thing she did do, there was an advertisement out, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where she's talking with a fellow who apparently is a micro brewer of beer, which might make people happy in Scotland or other places.
Scotland, I thought, was whiskey.
Oh, they have beer there. Scottish ale.
They may have, yeah. Where do they make Guinness? Is that
Guinness.
Is that British? Is that English or
Might be Irish.
Welsh?
Is it
I don't
Ireland?
know.
Irish.
Is it Irish?
Ireland. Guinness. Brilliant. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's still good stuff. So,
Nevertheless, she...
Annie, do you know? Please? Annie? Anything?
no, I guess not.
She thinks it's in Libya.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? We probably should put the headphones on. Maybe that's
it.
the issue.
Okay. Just
All right, let's
put
try it
this-
again.
Sorry.
All right.
Annie?
No,
No,
nothing to say.
Oh.
Okay.
apparently. But she was... she's fighting to reduce the federal tax on beer. Okay?
You notice how when she first ran, she was such an uber progressive. She was in that primary where everybody in there was trying to say, I'm more progressive than you. I swear she sounds more Republican than some of the Republicans right now.
Yeah, but that's a very low bar, Skip. Actually.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, all right,
Let's
so
see.
she would...
David Booten.
Yeah, bar, lowering the beer
Bar.
tax.
No, David Booten just stops at the bar.
That's true. That's right. He hasn't jumped
So
it yet.
he hasn't passed the bar then.
He has not passed the bar. So she's fighting to reduce the federal tax on beer to help brewers. And wouldn't it make... Sorry, Annie.
That's Ann Kusters, our guest this morning.
Yeah, makeup. We need to get that hair thing done. So. No. They're going to come in and do that in the fluffing. Yeah. So rather than working to reduce the gas tax, which would allow more people to travel to go get beer, she's going to reduce the tax on beer.
So more people can get drunk?
I guess. But then that puts them into health care and the state thing. So I don't know how this all works.
Bread and circuses.
Bread and circus. Beer and circus.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she's talking about.
It is a circus, quite frankly. So, haggis, we were having a discussion.
Yes. And, sorry. And in Scotland, the haggis have short legs on one side and long legs on the other. So
They do because of
because of steep mountains.
Yeah, truly it is. It is.
No, the haggis, of course, is not a creature, but is a strange form of sausage, which may as well be a creature.
Sausage.
Well, when you put the word strange in front of it, I'm not so sure I'm interested.
The question is what do they drink in Scotland if not whiskey? Where is Guinness made?
Guinness is made in Ireland.
There you go.
Bingo.
It's not Libya. It's not Libya.
She thought it was Libya.
That's what Skip said. Anyway, so, hey, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Scotland was a good trip, and no, Guinness is not made there. The Glaswegians are famous for getting drunk, as well as making boats, which they don't do so much of these days.
Because they don't need to get drunk. They don't need a boat to get drunk, right?
No, they don't. And you'll notice that the Scottish National Party and the hangers-on that wanted to separate Scotland from England were concentrated in the inner cities and immediate suburbs of Glasgow and Dundee, and they would be the locations of the large numbers of government dependents.
There you go.
It would be like, I don't know, the most dependent areas of downtown New York, for example, or the worst areas of Washington, D.C., not the ones paid by government, voting to separate themselves from the Federal Reserve.
By the way,
good analogy. Thanks.
Scotland's vote.
Yes.
Update us, please.
It was about 55-45 in the end, and partly secured by the fact that every politician out of England made promises of further devolution of power and taxing authorities, to the point where you get English uprisings saying no taxation without representation, because the dirty little secret is this. The Scottish, and to some extent the Welsh regional assemblies, have some local lawmaking and taxing authority, but their representatives still go to Westminster and vote on laws that affect England, who do not have their own separate regional assembly. You see what I mean? If you're going to regionalize it, you have a federal government in Westminster and regional assemblies in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. You don't have that. So what you're doing is devolving power to the guys that are making the most noise without preventing them from voting on the greater whole.
Sort of double voting.
Kind of, yes.
Voter fraud, legal. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure the ballots were stuffed in this case.
The haggis was.
It's not haggis unless it's stuffed.
Thinking of ballots and stuffing, did you guys see that excellent Henry Payne cartoon this week? Because you've got the democracy protests in Hong Kong, of course, because Hong Kong for many years has enjoyed a light regulatory hand under the British and the British governorship, which basically had a low flat tax, very low regulations, a very light hand, and a locally elected assembly. And now the Beijing government is saying, your candidates have to be approved by us. It's kind of like the GOP in America, actually.
Or New Hampshire.
And so there's this fat cat sitting at the reserved for the Communist Party table saying, chopped democracy, stuffed ballot, and fried opposition.
Yum.
And, it's like that's exactly how the GOP treats its grassroots.
Wow. No, I have not seen it, but you're going to have to put it up for us.
I posted it, and I posted an amended...
He did, this week.
A couple of days ago.
Oh, gosh.
And
it's been one of those weeks,
I put up the Henry Payne original, and I put up a slightly...
yes.
And I put the slightly modified one underneath it.
All right, I'll have to find it. We'll put it up on
the...
I was actually taking a swing at the Democrats, but we could just as easily be talking about our overlords.
Indeed. Indeed. So no jet lag. It's not that long a flight.
No, it wasn't that bad. And
what's your temperature here?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Oh, when you
all you have to do is take ibuprofen.
There you go.
When you connect through, to fool the scanners and, and sneak your Ebola into the country.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't think too many Icelandic citizens travel to and from the stricken areas of Africa, and furthermore, there are no direct flights. So connecting from Scotland to Reykjavik to Boston, I kind of stayed out of the way of the main Ebola superhighway through Brussels and Washington, D.C.
The Ebola superhighway. I was talking about this before the break. I brought it up briefly, and I wanted to mention it because obviously we have the case in Dallas, and now there's like 100 people that they're watching, and there will be more, obviously, because it's Ebola, right? And the Border Patrol said they've stopped hundreds of West Africans coming across the border from Mexico in the last year, and even more now. They're still coming. So somehow or other,
they're just Nigerian programmers wanting to strike it rich quick by doing
they're saying that there's
email scam.
A lot of email scam. A lot of people are getting through Mexico and coming up. Okay, so I'm like, all right, great. So I checked to see, well, how come there's no stories about Ebola in Mexico? You'd think if that's where they're all going, somebody in Mexico, sooner or later, is going to come into contact with these people, unless they're purposefully not. You check the news, Mexican government, no, we don't have any Ebola. There's no news on Ebola in Mexico at all. So how is Ebola traveling from West Africa through Mexico into the southern United States, hundreds of West Africans who've been in areas that are exposed? How's that working? How are they doing that?
Unsure.
It's a rhetorical question, but, you know.
Your cartoon is now up in the live stream.
Okay. And by the way, I think that the ones coming in through Mexico are probably economic refugees. The ones we should worry about.
Aren't they all?
Well, I'm not saying that we should condone their free passage into the United States. I'm saying
the more important point is there will be hundreds coming for medical care that can't get there when they've been exposed in. That's the problem.
You're right. That's a very good point.
And if you were a terrorist and you wanted to screw the United States up, you'd get a bunch of them together and go, I'll pay for you to go get health care in the United States, stick them in a container ship, even though they've only been in areas that are exposed, obviously, because if they are in like week 2 or week 3, they're not going to make it. But if they're in week 1, you could get them here in time.
You could, or you could put them on a charter flight to somewhere in northern Mexico and have them make the rest of the trek. But it's interesting that we don't have, as yet, the disease spreading there. We have these nasty forms of TB and enterovirus spreading everywhere. Obama's dumped kids on us.
There's always an EV68. Is that what,
which
that's
is
the enterovirus.
That's the one. That's the one I was referring to. Whereas at the moment, the places where Ebola seems to have struck in the United States are ones where aid workers especially, or people that have snuck in, have landed directly. So I'm wondering how many accidental contacts they're going to find that pass through Dulles Airport, for example, somewhere else that I avoid when I can.
Well, Mr. Duncan...
or DFW when they depart and they go through...
Well, yes.
They've already gone through customs by the time they get to DFW.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Duncan, the healthcare rent seeker from Liberia, his express reason for coming, he knew he was sick. As all these details are coming out. He came to the U.S. as it was his only chance to survive. Now, and that's been established at this point, because he knew he wasn't going to make